3 games, 3 queen sacrifices, 3 finishes so good people are still talking about them 100 years later. One got played in an opera house while the orchestra was literally still playing. One was so nuts they just named it the Immortal game. And one, a 13-year-old kid pulls it off against a grown master. Here's my promise to you. By the end of this, you'll get why these are the games every chess player should know, and you'll start spotting the same ideas in your own games. Let's go. First stop, Paris, 1858, an opera house. 2 noblemen, a duke and a count, are up in their private box, and honestly, they'd rather play chess than watch the show. Across from them sits a young American named Paul Morphy, 21 years old, probably the most natural talent the game had ever seen. They wanted a casual game. They got a beating for the ages. Morphy's got white, so he's up first. Pawn to e4. Nothing fancy, but don't sleep on it. He's grabbing the center and opening lines for his pieces. That's rule 1, and he never forgets it. Black plays e5. Same idea mirrored. Solid, normal, quiet. 2 armies just staring each other down. Now Morphy gets to work. Knight to f3, and boom, it's already hitting that e5 pawn. See the pattern. Every move he makes does a job. Black plays d6 to defend. Safe enough. But it's a little passive, and it kind of locks in his own bishop. Tiny thing. Hold that thought. And Morphy hits the center again, d4. He doesn't want a slow, quiet game. He wants it open. Remember that because it shows up in all 3 games today. Open lines are the attacker's best friend. Here's Black's first real slip. Bishop to g4, pinning the knight. Looks active, right? But that bishop's about to get chased all over the place, and it hands Morphy exactly the target he wants. Morphy takes on e5. Now there's tension. That bishop and the knight are all tangled up, and somebody's gotta sort it out. Black grabs the knight, bishop takes f3. He figures he's winning the pawn back. Fair, but watch how Morphy takes back. Queen takes f3, and look at that, his queen's out, it's active, and it's already eyeing f7. Black barely got a piece off the back row. Morphy's way ahead. Black takes back on e5. Pawns are even again, but pieces in the game, not even close. And in an open position, being ahead in development beats a pawn every single time. Bishop to c4. That diagonal points straight at f7, the weakest square in front of Black's king. He's loading the gun. Black finally develops, knight f6, blocking the queen's view of f7. Sensible. But the real problem hasn't gone anywhere. That king's still stuck in the middle. Queen to b3. And now, queen and bishop both aimed at f7. 2 attackers, 1 weak square. It's the same trap beginners fall for every day, just done by a master. Black has to cover f7, so the queen drops back to e7. Clunky. Now his own queen's blocking his bishop, and the whole army's jammed up. Now does Morphy grab that free pawn on b7? Nope. He develops. Knight to c3. And here's the whole lesson. Get all your pieces in before you swing. Greedy players grab pawns. Morphy brings the whole team. Black plays c6, building a little wall to keep that bishop out. Reasonable. But notice he still hasn't castled. That king's glued to the center. Big problem. Bishop to g5, pinning the knight. The pressure's really cranking up now. Black can barely move a thing. Out of ideas, Black shoves b5, kicking the bishop. He thinks he's winning a tempo. Watch what Morphy does instead. He doesn't back up. He gives up the piece, knight takes b5. Why? To rip open the lines to that stuck king. Material means nothing if you land the knockout. Black takes the knight, pawn takes b5. On paper, he's up material now. But every road to his king just flew wide open. Bishop takes b5, check. And just like that, the king's under fire with nowhere to hide. Black blocks the only way he can, knight to d7. Look at that poor knight, pinned, overworked, holding the whole thing together by itself. That's where combinations come from. And now Morphy castles. Long queenside. In one move his rook lands on the open d-file, pointing straight down at that knight and the king behind it. One move, two jobs. Black throws another defender at it, rook to d8. He's hanging on by his fingernails. Morphy crashes in, rook takes d7. He just rips a defender off the board. And this only works because every one of his pieces is already aimed at the king. Black takes back, rook takes d7. Forced. Now one knight and one rook are all that's holding this together. Morphy brings the last piece, rook to d1, doubling up, pinning that rook again. Every single piece he owns is in the attack now. Black's got two defenders. That's not a fight. Black tries to bail, queen to e6, begging for a trade. But Morphy's not trading. He's seen something way better. Bishop takes d7, check again. He ignores the queen offer and keeps coming. No breathing room. Black takes back, knight to d7. And here's the picture. His king hiding behind one lonely little knight. That's it. That's all that's left. So Morphy kicks the door in. Here it is. The move that made this game famous forever. Queen to b8, check. He just gives up his queen, the biggest piece on the board, for free. If you've never seen this, your jaw should be on the floor. Black's got no choice. The knight has to take. Knight takes b8. But that knight was the only thing guarding the back row. He had to open his own door. Rook to d8. Checkmate. A bishop, a rook, and a queen thrown away to set it up. 17 moves, clean as it gets. Next up, London, 1851. A German master named Adolf Anderssen sits down for a friendly game. And over the next 23 moves, he plays something so wild, so over the top, that people just call it the Immortal game. Heads up, he's about to give away a bishop, both rooks and his queen, and still win. I'm not kidding. Pawn to e4. Same honest start, grab the center, free the pieces. Black mirrors with e5. Calm for now. Pawn to f4, the king's gambit. White just hands over a pawn for speed and open lines. Old school, swashbuckling stuff. Anderssen loved this. Black grabs it, takes on f4. He's up a pawn, but he's about to fall way behind in development. Bishop to c4, slicing toward f7. There's that weak square again, the same one Morphy hunted. And Black fires back, queen to h4, check. Aggressive, greedy. The queen comes charging out way too early. White just steps aside, king to f1. Yeah, he gives up castling, but who cares? This game's about attack, not safety. Black grabs more space with b5, offering another pawn to shove that bishop off. Bishop takes b5. White's happy to grab it, but always with a point. Black finally develops, knight to f6. About time he did something useful. Knight to f3, and it kicks the queen. Develop a piece, gain a tempo, that Morphy efficiency again. The queen runs to h6. Every time it moves, White gets a free move to build. Pawn to d3, bracing that big center. Slow, solid, strong. Black's knight goes hunting to h5, eyeing the f4 pawn. He keeps reaching for material instead of getting his pieces out. Knight to h4, poking the queen again and eyeing f5. Queen slides to g5, still prowling around. And here's the thing about this whole game, that Black queen is doing all the work, totally alone. The rest of the army's asleep at home. Knight to f5 bold, planting it right in Black's face. Black plays c6, going after that bishop. White doesn't blink, pawn to g4, slamming the trap shut on the h5 knight. The knight scrambles back to f6 just to live. Black's getting pushed around like a rag doll. Rook to g1, sneaky little rook lift, getting ready for the kingside while it all looks like chaos. Black finally grabs the bishop, pawn takes b5. On the scoreboard, Black's up a ton of material, looks like he's winning, but watch White just keep attacking. Pawn to h4, chasing the queen again. Queen backs off to g6. Tempo after tempo, all for free. Pawn to h5, kicking it again. White's not winning material, he's winning something scarier. Time and an attack. Back the queen goes to g5. Round and round, while white's army quietly slides into place. Queen to f3, and now there are real threats. On the black queen and on f7. And get this, black's knight crawls all the way back home to g8. His pieces have barely left the starting line. It's almost funny how far behind he is. Bishop takes f4, hitting the queen again. Now every white piece is pointed at the king. Queen lands on f6. Black's hanging on, but the whole thing's a coiled spring. Knight to c3, developing with another threat. Anderssen never wastes a move. Black throws out bishop to c5, aiming at f2. Last bit of counterplay. Knight to d5. Hits the queen, forks the position open. Threats everywhere. And black, of course, grabs more. Queen takes b2, snatching a pawn and eyeing a rook. That greed's about to cost him. Big time. Now the fireworks. Bishop to d6, ice cold. Anderssen just ignores the threat to his rook. Black takes it, bishop takes g1. One rook gone, Anderssen does not care. Pawn to e5, slamming the door shut so the black queen can't get back to defend. Black grabs the other rook too, queen takes a1, check. Both white rooks gone. He's down a fortune, and he's totally winning. King to e2. Ice in his veins, just strolls out of check into the middle of the board. He knows exactly what's happening. Black finally develops a piece, knight to a6. Too late. Way too late. The defenders are never getting there in time. Knight takes g7, check. The net's closing. King runs to d8. Nowhere safe to go. Queen to f6, check. And yeah, that's a queen sacrifice. The last big piece straight onto the fire. Black has to take. Knight takes f6. And now he's got basically nothing left to defend with. Bishop to e7, checkmate. Stop and soak this in. A bishop, both rooks and the queen all thrown away. Mate delivered by two little minor pieces. That's why they call it Immortal. And the finale. New York, 1956. A grown master, Donald Byon, with the white pieces. And across from him, a quiet, skinny 13-year-old. His name's Bobby Fischer. What this kid's about to do is so good they just call it the game of the century. Keep everything Morphy taught us about development in your head, because Fischer's about to take it to another level. It starts quiet. Knight f3, knight f6. Just two players feeling each other out. Pawn to c4, and Fischer plays g6. He's setting up to fianchetto, getting that bishop ready to fire down the long diagonal. More pieces come out, and there's the bishop on g7, aimed like a laser clean across the board. Patient, modern chess. White builds a big center with d4, and Fischer just tucks his king away, castles. Develop, get safe. Textbook. White's bishop hits f4, and Fischer punches back in the center with d5. Tensions rising. The queens and pawns tangle, and Fischer snags a pawn on c4. Still looks calm and even. The master has no clue what's coming. White wins the pawn back. Fischer plays the quiet c6. Calm before the storm. White grabs the center with e4. Fischer brings a knight to d7. Both sides fully loaded now. White's rook lifts to d1. Fischer's knight hops to b6, poking the queen. Little jabs. White's queen slides to c5, and Fischer pins it down with bishop to g4. Watch close, he's setting something up, and here's the first spark. Knight to a4. Look at it out on the rim, just hanging there, daring white to take it. Looks like a blunder a beginner would make. It's actually the start of one of the deepest combos ever played. White lashes at the queen instead, and Fischer crashes in. Knight takes c3. Ripping it open. White takes back, and Fischer slams down. Knight takes e4. Pieces flying everywhere. He's burning the position open on purpose, just like Morphy. White grabs a bishop and hits the queen, but Fischer coolly drops it to b6. No panic. He's counting moves nobody else can see. White tries bishop to c4, and Fischer just keeps swinging. Knight takes c3. There's a plan under all this chaos. Here it comes. White plays bishop to c5. Fischer slides his rook to e8 check. Suddenly that white king feels very, very exposed. And this is it, the move of the century, bishop to e6. Fischer just offers his queen. He lets the master take the best piece on the board because this 13-year-old has seen further than anyone in the room. The whole hall must have gasped. White takes the queen, of course he does. How do you say no? But Fischer takes the bishop right back with check. And now the windmill starts. Check, king shoved to g1, then back again. Fischer's pieces just start feasting while that king gets dragged around. Knight takes d4 check, and another pawn's gone. The king's getting yanked around like a puppet, and every turn Fischer grabs more. More checks, knight back to e2. White can't do a thing to stop the wheel from spinning. Knight to c3, check again, scooping up more loot. White's army is just falling apart piece by piece. Finally, the checks stop and Fischer grabs the bishop, axe 6. Let's add it up. This is already a disaster for White. White's queen lunges to b4 and Fischer calmly pins it, rook to a4. Cool as you like. Queens come off and Fischer scoops a rook. Knight takes d1. For that one queen, he's got a rook, 2 bishops, and a knight now. That's way more than enough. Fischer keeps cleaning up, rook takes a2. Just hoovering up pawns, totally winning and totally calm. Knight takes f2, another pawn gone. No rush. Just clean, ruthless technique from a kid. Rooks come off after a check. Fewer pieces means his material edge matters even more. White checks with the queen. Fischer blocks with the bishop. The queen's swinging, but there's nothing behind it. White's knight takes back, and Fischer parks his bishop on d5, gorgeous square. Every piece working together. Knight f3, knight e4. Fischer's little army moves like one machine closing in. White's lonely queen wanders to b8, looking for a miracle. There isn't one. Pawns push on the king side. Fischer keeps it tidy, gives White 0 counterplay. White's knight jumps to e5, and Fischer's king steps up to g7. Even the king joins the hunt now. Bishop to c5 check. The net tightens, and that white king's running out of squares. Knight to g3 check. Bishop and knight start tag teaming, hurting the king. Bishop to b4 check. Step by step, they drive him across the board. Bishop to b3 check again. No escape now. The net's almost shut. Knight to e2 check, pushing the king to the back. You can see the end from here. Knight to c3 check. One more turn of the screw, he's cornered. And here's the finish, rook to c2. Checkmate. Let that sink in. 13 years old against a master. A perfect, clean mate to wrap up the best game of his life. The game of the century. So there you go, 3 games, Morphy, Anderssen, Fischer, 100 years apart, all tied together by one thing, a queen thrown away to win. And under all the magic, it's the same 3 ideas every time. Get your pieces out fast, open the lines, and bring everybody to the party before you go for the king. Do that, and you'll start playing prettier chess too, I promise. If you had fun with this, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe. I've got more of these coming. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time. Perove ejective yaze an all. Research 3 Immortal games, voiceover 3 Immortal games, assets 3 Immortal games, CO 3 Immortal games, learnings.